Hi everyone, hope you are doing well. Welcome to next video in the series of JavaScript for beginners. So in the last video we talked about how to set up our development environment for JavaScript. In this one, in order to learn JavaScript, we are going to make mini web tools. In that, the first one is BMI calculator. Also, we upload videos twice a week, so if you want to learn JavaScript, you can hit or subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notifications every time we upload a new video. So in this video we are going to create a BMI calculator. So we are going to use HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I'm Shubham from AutoWired and we do learning via teaching. So let's see what we are going to make. So we are going to make something like this. This video will be split in two parts. One for getting the basic implementation done, and then we'll do the styling and everything. So this is my BMI calculator as of now. If you see, you can enter your weight and fall, right, enter a height, give it a height of 2 meters. So if you see, we have this drop down 2, which tells us whether you want to select this in LBs or KGs, and we have this drop down here which tells us whether you want to take height in meters, inch or centimeters, right? So when you will hit calculate BMI and we got it BMI of 18.5. We also have this a button which says click here to know more. And the moment you click, we have added this some animation over here. So we'll see how to achieve that. And here we have created another card which captures some information about BMI. And to go back to calculator, you can click this again and it will go back. So that's all we are going to create. So let's start. So what is the BMI calculator? So BMI calculator is a measure that uses your height and weight to work out if you're healthy or if your weight is healthy or not. So that's not a pure consideration if you're healthy, right? So there are a lot of nuances in BMI. You can Google them, but we won't go that deep into that. So our focus is to create that calculator. Our focus is to learn JavaScript. So we'll focus on that. So in order to implement BMI calculator, we need to know what is the formula to calculate the BMI, which is if you have weight in kilograms and height in meters, you can go ahead. So the formula is weight by height meter square. So we are going to do that. And there is another formula. If you have weight in pounds and height in inches, you can use weight in pounds divided by height in inches square. So let's move it. That's all we need for this. Now we'll see how we're going to calculate. So as I've already shown you what we are going to create, right? So this will be our basic design of our BMI calculator. So we have a heading, we have an input area for weight, we have an input area for height, and then we have drop downs for weight unit and height unit, and then we have a button called calculate BMI which will trigger the calculate function. So yeah, let's jump onto the implementation part. And so let's start with our HTML file. Our basic HTML will be, I use this boilerplate extension. I have already explained this in my setting up environment for JavaScript video. You can find the link in the I button. So now in order to fast forward our development, we'll use Bootstrap, right? So let's get Bootstrap for this one. So Bootstrap is basically a front-end framework. It provides a CSS classes which you can use directly, so you don't have to implement on your own, and it makes the development process very fast. So we'll grab the Bootstrap CDs right here. We'll just copy it from here and add it on our app. Control+C. Let's add a style sheet of this. Don't forget to copy these tools, because in order to achieve all the designs and good looks, we need to have the JS1 too. Also, one thing, always add your JS right above the inclusion body tab. And also, let's go ahead. I have create a index. Let's go ahead and create a JavaScript file, which will be called index.js. I've already created that, so I'll add that file here. And yeah, so we are all set up with Bootstrap. We have linked our JavaScript file. Now we go ahead and implement a UI for our BMI calculator. So we'll create a class. We'll create a div, giving it a class called container. This class is coming from the Bootstrap. So this will create a container on the DOM for our web page. Let's go ahead and create one more div called class. So there's something called card in Bootstrap. We are going to use that in order to calculate our BMI calculator. You'll see in a moment how it's gonna look like. So let's go ahead and give it a header. So that's the beauty of Bootstrap. You get all this out of the box and you don't have to do anything. Give it a text center too, and close the step. So let's give it a header of BMI calculator. So let's open this. We don't need this anymore, so we can close it. Let's open this right here. Let's see what we're getting. So you see, we have created a card, we have given a header. Let's design our body. In order to design body, we'll create one more div, give it a class of card body. Inside body, we are going to create a form as we intend to take some input from the user, weight and height. So we're going to do that. We'll create again div and give it a class of form group. You can learn about all these classes from the Bootstrap official documentation. And if you have any question, drop your question in the comment below. We'll be happy to answer. So now we have created a div, right? Let's enclose that too. Now we have created a div. Now let's include a label, which will say a weight. So what label is going to create a text, right? So you can see that here. You see, we have created a text, and right below now we need an input type. We can give it as text. Also, we need to give an ID to this, as we need to pick these values in our JavaScript in order to calculate the BMI. So let's give it a ID of weight. Then let's give a placeholder to enter the weight. Also, let's give a class of form. So I'll show you how Bootstrap works, like how beautiful it makes things. So as of now, we have something like this. Now let's see the magic of Bootstrap. Let's add a class called form control. And now let's see how the UI looks like. See, now it has become way more beautiful than it was. Let's go ahead and create our drop down. For that, we will create a div, give it a class of drop down, close that div. After that, we'll go ahead and create a select. Select is a tag from HTML using which we create drop down. Give it a weight ID of weight drop down, as we need to pick this up to calculate BMI. We need to know what unit has been selected by the user. Let's go ahead and give it a class of let's give it a class of button. That's going to be a button. Then let's do some styling with button info. It's going to give a good blue color, and add a class of drop down toggle. It's going to add that downward arrow to our button. And then let's give it a type of button. Okay, so let's close the select tag. Now what we have to do is we need to add options here, like what will be possible options of weight unit, right? So to do that, you're gonna say option tags are from HTML. Give it something like kg. Go ahead, give an option, and let's go ahead and give one more, as we need pounds to option lbs option. Now also let's add this tag selected. What it's gonna do, it's gonna always select kg as default value. If a user don't select any weight unit, kg will be the selected weight unit for that, right? And this completes our input form for weight area. We're gonna go ahead and grab this and do the same for height too. So there's not much of a change here. Let's go ahead to this, replace this with height, change the ID to height, and change the placeholder to enter the height, and change this drop down, height drop down. Also we go ahead and change this to meter, centimeter, and let's add one more for height, which is option inch. So we added inch to in our height drop down. So that completes our input area, right? Let's go ahead and create one more div, giving it a class of form group. Close that div. So we have created this div for our calculate BMI button. Let's go ahead and create that button. Give it a class of button success. It's gonna give a good blue color and rounding edge to our button. Okay, say calculate BMI, and let's close that button. Also we have to set what happens when someone clicks that button. So we're gonna go ahead and add on click and say call our function called calculate BMI. So that will be it, right? So that's going to create a submit button for us. Let's go ahead and create a place to show the BMI, our calculated BMI. So we need to create a place to show our calculated BMI. So let's go ahead and do that too. Give it a div class of the same form group. Close that div. Now go ahead and create something like your BMI is, and let's go ahead and give it a span tag. Why we have given a span tag? Because we need to insert our calculated BMI in this line. So what span tag does, it attaches our value to the same line where it has been used, and will give this an ID of BMI value. Okay, so what it's going to do, this completes our HTML part. One more thing which has left here is adding that footer button. Click here to know more one. So let's go ahead and add that too. To do that, we're going to go ahead, create one more div, give it a class of card footer, close that div. Now go ahead and create a button, give it a good class button, then button outline primary, and let's say here click here to know more, and that's going to create our click here to know more button at the very at the footer section. Now here we are completed our with HTML part. Now we have our UI ready to take an input to hit BMI and to show that. Let's check our UI one, how it's looking, and there we go. We have our UI full ready, which says BMI calculator. It has an option of taking weight, it has an option of taking height. We have button, we have in place where we need to show the calculated BMI, and we have a footer. Now let's go ahead and create our JS to make it effective. So in order to do that, you have to create a file called index.js. I have already created that one at the start, and I have already attached this one to this HTML. So let's go ahead and write our JavaScript. So now we are starting with an empty file. Let's first write our function of calculate BMI. So calculate BMI. Let's go ahead and do this. Now what we need to do, we need to extract all that value from our HTML. So that's why we have given IDs to all our input tags. Now we will extract all our values from HTML. In order to do that, we will do document dot get element by ID. So now you see why we have provided IDs to our input tags. So that's how we extract those values. Just write, my bad. And this will give us the value entered by user in our weight section. We are going to do that for all the sections, so I'm going to fast forward that. So now we have created a reference for, now we have extracted all the values. We have extracted weight, we have extracted height value entered by user, we have extracted weight unit, and we have extracted a height unit too. So that's all the data we need to do in order to calculate the BMI. Now let's go ahead. Now I'm going to use the kg. I'm going to use the formula which is weight in kgs divided by height in meters square. In order to do that, we have to check our weight unit first, because since we have given multiple options for our weight unit, we need to do a check, and if the weight is not in kg, we have to convert that into kg, right? So we'll check if weight unit not equals to kg. Go ahead and get me the converted weight into kg. So we'll say get converted weight in kg, and we'll pass that weight and weight unit here. Let's go ahead and create this function too. Create the function with name get converted weight in kg and accept weight and weight unit as parameters. I'm not gonna write this logic. You can Google it and add that logic right here, how you're going to convert pounds into kgs. So I'll just add a comment saying add your conversion logic here. We are going to do the same for height unit too. We need height in meters, so we'll do a check if height unit not equals to meters. We'll go ahead and say height is equals to get converted height in meters. We'll pass height and height unit. We'll go ahead and create one function for that too. Function get converted height in meters, accept height and height unit as params, and you can add your conversion logic here. Here, since we have we have more than 2 options of height unit, you have to do something like if height unit equals to centimeter, you have to add a conversion logic for centimeter to meter, and you have to do the same for if height unit is equals to inch. You need to add a add a conversion logic for inch to meters. So you can go ahead and complete these functions. It shouldn't be like very tough. It should be very easy to do that. Now once we have our height in kgs and meters, what we need to do, we'll create a variable called let calculated BMI is equals to, and we're gonna write our formula, weight divided by height ka square, which is height into height. Now to find out height square, either you can do this, or there's another way in JavaScript which you can use. There's something called math object. You can use math object and use for. How it works, you pass the value which you need to find the power of. So since here we need to find the power of, and then you have to enter what power of you need to find of that value. So since we have to find the square of that, so we'll add 2. If you need to find cube of some variable, you'll add 3, something like that. And then what we need to do, if you remember, we have calculated we have declared a span tag here to insert our calculated BMI here. So what we need to do, we have already extracted this element here, this one, right? So we have already extracted this element. We are going to Now place our calculated BMI in the HTML. To do that, all we need to do BMI value dot there is something called inner HTML. You're gonna use that property and pass. So what we are going to do? We are going to do. So we have already extracted this BMI value element. What we need to do in order to put our calculated BMI right over there, you go like BMI value dot, we'll use inner HTML property and assign our calculated BMI here. What it's going to do, it's going to put our calculated BMI into inner HTML. What do you mean by inner HTML? So it's going to go ahead and put values here, right? So if you write something here, it's gonna come on the screen. So we are placing our value, our calculated BMI right here. So that completes our JavaScript for calculating the BMI. So let's go ahead and check our app, how it's working. So let's add a weight, let's add a height, and let's press this. So yeah, here you go. We have our very simple BMI calculator, which takes weight and height and gives you BMI. Please, if we see what we are intending to implement, we are very near. Let's do. Okay, in our initial design, this is right here and this is right here, and this one, this is here. So let's move these right beside our input area. In order to do that, what we are going to wrap around our input area and our drop down into one div and give it a style of display flex. So what flex gonna do? It's gonna arrange them side by side. Let's close that div. Let's refresh it. And there we go. We have it right. Here is our input font. Let's enclose that into a div. Give it a style display flex. Let's close that div too. Now refresh it, and now we have it. Now if we compare it with our initial design, we are exactly where we want to be, right? Exact same thing, we have it here. So now the other part which we need to implement is something like this. You see, we have this right over here. So this we will cover this in our next part. Also, doing this is not going to include any JS. It's very much HTML and CSS. You just have implemented your very simple BMI calculator with a very user-friendly way. Keep watching, keep learning. If you like this content, please do not forget to hit the subscribe, because that will help us to grow. And we'll be keep making mini web tools. And in order to design more mini web tools, don't forget to subscribe us to get a notification every time we upload a new video. Thanks for watching.